Hello everyone, Kerry the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and I'm here with July 2024's colour combo. Now, if you've never seen me do a colour combo before, this is a monthly experiment, should we call it, for lack of another word, that myself and Paula Keen in the Netherlands run as part of a private Facebook group for the makers of mixed media art and artists. There is a link to that group in the description box below. If you want to join it, it's a very supportive group of varied artists. There is a link below. You will have to answer 2 questions to get into it, but anyway, every month we have 3 colours that are requested by subscribers, friends and followers that then become the challenge for that month. But you're allowed to add things. So you can add black if you wish, you can add white if you wish, or you can use them to adjust the other colours in the combo. You can also add a metallic. I'm adding deep gold this month, but the colours for this combo are grey. You can make grey. I happen to have this neutral grey, which you can see how often I use this colour grey, so I've got grey. Also, there's a royal purple. This purple velvet is probably as close as I'm going to get to what I would consider a royal purple. And then the last colour is actually pistachio green. Now, I've got a yellow green here, which I'm going to mute back and make to approximately this colour, because I don't want anyone to go out and spend money on stuff they don't really need to spend. A close approximation of the colours are perfect with me. So this month I'm going to just make a 12 by 12 background because it's already nearly the end of the month, but I've been running a challenge this month which has taken up a lot of my time, but I still want to do the colour combo. And heck, I can always have some fun time on my gel plate. No problem there. So I'm going to be making a background. Now I happen to have 2 pieces of 12 by 12 here. They're 250 GSM. I've got 2 pieces because one will be the primary piece and one will probably be a cleanup sheet. And I've got some other things in mark making, and I'm going to use a stencil of mine, which I really love for this as well. So just know that, yep, we're going to do something. I've got a 12 by 12 gel press, I've got a 5 by 7 gel press, and I've actually got a speedball brayer here, which is a 4-inch speedball brayer. To one side, I've got some labels from the thrift store, and I've got a book here that I'm using just to clean up and brayer off and put marks in, just so I save the paint. I think we need to get on, don't you? So first things first, I'm going to put some white onto my 5 by 7. I use my 5 by 7 as almost a palette, and I'm going to add some of the grey to it. This is a bit of a flat colour grey. I do want grey as my background, but I just want to mix it up slightly. Hopefully you can see all of that in shot. So just mixing it up. So I've got a random selection on my brayer. I can tell you now, the weather here in Wales is absolutely spectacular. It's gone 12 o'clock and I've only just been able to turn the camera on because, to be honest with you, there's too much sunshine here. I can't film if the sun is shining on this table. So I'm just going to pop this down. Now, this is a 12 by 12 gel press. However, over time and use, and this is an old gel press, it has distorted slightly. So I always end up with little areas like this that always need a bit of an encouragement because the white cardstock is still showing. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I had that done. I'm going to pop that up there. I need to put it somewhere, so I'm going to fall into my windowsill well. Now I happen to have this spare paint here, so let's just put a background on my cleanup sheet. And if my cleanup sheet ends up looking better than my primary sheet, I'm okay with that as well. We'll use whichever one I think looks best. So just going to come in one more time. Now, when it comes to the rules for doing the colour combo, and that's what this is called, the only real rules are that the featured colours at the end should be the colours that are the colour combo for that month. So you can work in any medium you wish. You can do paint, glass, ceramics, fabric, whatever you wish to use. Pencils, watercolors. I've kept it really open, and it's in its third year now of running, and there's been some spectacular stuff done. Let's get that down again. But anyway, I was going to, so the predominant colours in the final piece should be grey, royal purple. We're going to call this pistachio green, although we know I'm going to make it that colour. So those are the prominent colours. As I said, you can use or not use these. It's up to your choice. But as long as these are sort of dominant, we're okay with that. Right, where am I up to with this? Right, let's see if I've got any on the bray. I can just cover that bit up. Not that I have to have a completely covered background. I know it's going to get covered eventually anyway. So what do I do now? I've got that. I'd like to initially get some colour into the background before it even starts. So I think I'm going to come in. I'm just going to put a bit of this purple down. This purple didn't come in this bottle, by the way. I decanted it into some of these bottles just to see if they were easier to use. They proved not to be easier to use. So once that's used up, I'll go back to using a tube instead. So I'm just going to put some of this on here, and I'm going to do what I call a kissing technique. If you've seen me ever do a background before, you'll know I do this a lot. Actually, let's just start the labels off as well. The labels I make are just kind of arty labels, which I use in my stuff anyway. So I'm just going to come in and put some of this down. I'm literally just kissing the plate just to get some colour on there to start with. And I'm not looking for a perfect coating. I'm literally just cleaning up the plate, which will give it almost a weathered effect. I'll take some off there as well. We'll just clean that up as we go. So as you can see, already we've got interest on our print. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Now, if you are someone who's new to gel printing, there are many, many videos out there from people, and I would say watch as many videos as you can because the versatility of a gel plate is considerable. I tend to do what I like to do on it, but I don't in any way push the boundaries of gel plating any further than I already know. Let's just see if I can get any more on this one. So just flipping between them here. So we've got our background started. We've got our initial colours in there. Now, I did want to put into these several different colours and shades and tones, or whatever you wish to call it, from the back, from the front to the back. Now, I'm working pretty much, so this is just a bit of tissue paper, see if I can clean up any of that. And if there's any paint, it'll just come up. I'm on this instant, I'm working from the lightest colour to the darkest colours, which would give me a good contrast. However, I could always have started with the dark and worked to the light. Slightly different technique, but you can do that. So what do I want to do now? I do want to put something into the background. I don't think I want it to be green straight away. Let's come in with some of this gold and build something into the background. So let's pull in the one we're working on. Just going to lay it on the gel plate just so it keeps flat. And I'm going to come in with some mark making stuff. Right, this is an ice cube tray with silicone bottoms on it. Got this in a pound store, or what you would call a dollar store if you were in the States. And I'm literally just picking up sections of it and putting marks down, because I want something on here just to create some interest in the background. Doesn't have to be a lot. As you can see, just a little bit. I can see I'm probably going to end up with two different things here. I'm just going to use a different technique on this one because I don't need to stamp all of that way. Actually, seeing how that looked, I'd quite like there to be some gold down there. So, as you can see, we're just building up interest here. Now, for me, this colour combination It's very much Harlequin sort of colours, and I love that because I quite like the Harlequin theme to stuff. Now, with that in mind, I have pulled in a stencil of my own. It's called Hopeless Harlequin. I design stencils, masks, and foam stamps for PM Artist Studio. I'm based in America, so I think we're going to use this one, which is the largest one, just to put something again into the background to get that theme going. I'm just going to lay it on my plate, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to brayer through it with some paint and then pick that paint up onto my other pieces. So I'm going to do this in white, just so it's not a dominant contrast. Loading up my 4-inch brayer, I'm literally going to come in and put this on the plate. Now I'm sort of avoiding this corner because it's like tumbling diamonds down here. I designed it so we have options on it. However, I'm not using that option today. Just lift that off there. As you can see, I've got that there. I'm going to come in and just pick up sections of it. And I think a little bit down there. We'll take a better look at them once I've got all of this off the gel plate, so I don't end up with a problem of paint drying. There you go. Right. Now what I am going to do is, as I've got the stencil and the paint here, I'm just going to lay it back down. It's relatively easy to line it back up because of the straight lines, but it's not something I'd absolutely have to line up. I'm not looking for perfect accuracy. I'm just looking for something on a page. Now I'm just going to pull in one of these spare pages in here. That's fine, one that's got nothing on it. I'm just going to pull up this. These were just, see, that's lovely. These were just books that I picked up in my local thrift store. The thrift store was having a sale on books. They were getting rid of them for like 2 for £1, which is 50 pence. So I thought, right, I'm just going to grab some. This is an idea I got from Darcy Sanders. She calls them collage crumbs. And I quite like that. I like that thought. Just going to lay this stencil onto my sheet of labels. And as you can see, what it's done is it's just put a bit of a faint, almost a wipe off onto it. Right, we're done with that. So that's on there. I need to clean it up. I'll just put this over the top. This is just another piece of tissue. And if there's anything there to lift off, it will lift it off. And if it doesn't lift off, I do not mind. Right, well, that is sat there. Let's have a look. So this is our primary one. See, we're just building up stuff upon it. And this is the cleanup one. And as I said, it could be they're interchangeable at the end of the day. If they both look good, they're both going to be part of the colour combo. So let's see if anything came off here. No, it doesn't bother me. I'm just going to brayer over the top of that in a minute anyway. Oh, this is looking quite nice. Now, what I tend to do with any tissue that I've got here that is obviously part of cleanups is once they've got enough on them, they'll go into my drawer where I keep all of the scraps of stuff. And from there, I turn them into something else, like collage pieces, stuff like that. Right, I think we're at the point now where I do need to add green. So we need to make this green. Now, pistachio, this is the Pantone version of pistachio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make it as close as I can, but I'm not going to beat myself up. So this is quite a yellowy green, as you can see. And to get the color I want, I think I basically just need to mute it down a little bit with a little bit of white. Actually, I need a palette knife, I think. Just a plastic palette knife, so I'm not going to injure my work surface. I think I'm going to need a little more white than that. And I might put into this a tiny, tiny touch of brown just to dull this back a bit. Now, this is what I'm aiming for, but obviously I'm not there. It's probably easier to do it in my hand, isn't it? See, it's far too yellowy at the moment. So I want to put a tiny, tiny little bit of brown into this. Just to kind of dirty it up a bit. Probably a bit more than that, to be honest. And yeah, I know I'm contaminating the brown, but the brown is just, it's a colour that is a bottle of different things in it. It's still a bit yellow, isn't it? Now, the other thing I could do if this isn't going the right colour is I could add a touch of the opposite colour to yellow, which is purple on the colour wheel, and that should neutralise it a little bit. As I said, we're aiming for something close to it, not necessarily exactly like it. I do think I need a little more white in there again. And I think I'm going to put the tiniest, tiniest bit of purple in there as well. Now, if it doesn't go right, that's fine. I'll use it for something else. But I'm hoping the purple will neutralize the yellow a little bit. And then the white will actually mute it down. And I think we're getting there. My instinct was brown, but actually I think the purple was the right thing. See those side by side. I'm not convinced I'm getting there, I must admit. Right, what do I need? That's got a funny sort of tinge to it. Maybe I need to put some, so I might find some ultramarine blue. Maybe this is ultramarine blue, just to take the acidness out of this. But to be honest with you, I could use it now and just call that done. But it's going to annoy me a bit if I can't get it closer than that. Well, it's certainly turned a different shade of green. You know, I'm not far off on that. I'm okay. I think I want to just add a little bit more white to it. I'm not going to match that completely, but to me, that's not far off pistachio green. So to move that out of the way, I'm just going to add a little more white to this. Colour mixing is actually a fascinating thing. The trouble is that unless you're using primary colours from the start, you can't always guarantee what is within the mix of the colours you're adding. So, I mean, I added a blue there, but there was obviously some green in the blue. When I added the brown, there was obviously red and other colours within that. Okay, I can deal with that. I think I'm going to call that pistachio. Right, so do I want a brayer? Do I want a stamp? I think I'll put that down there for a start. I think I'm going to do a little bit of my kissing technique, which you saw me do just now. Yeah, that looks pistachio enough to me. Right, so I just want a thin coat of this on here because I want to pick it up. And I'm going to sort of focus in areas like this that don't have a lot on them. I just want to pull up bits of it. Right, we'll take a better look at that in a minute. Right, now the question is, I've got a lot of paint there, and I think I'm going to go with circles. I like a circle, and I'm going to go for quite large circles. That's okay on there. I tend to do things in odd numbers, which I think a lot of us do. There you go, that can go to one side. Right, where's my books again? Let's just put a layer of this green onto here. Yeah, I'm loving this idea, Darcy. Thank you for this. I think Darcy said she learnt this from someone else, but I can't remember who that someone else is. And as I learnt it from Darcy, I'm passing credit on to Darcy for it. So let's just get this one on there. So, right. So I now need to think, I've got mark making to do, which is fine. That's exactly what I was planning on doing. So that doesn't matter that it's got stuff on it. So let's take a look at where we're at. Okay, I'm just going to turn this over and rub it down. And part of that is so that it will blot away any raised bits from here, just because there'll be a build-up of paint. And I don't particularly want to build up of paint. So let's have a think. What else? I know I've got one thing I want to do on here. I'm wondering whether I want to put some sort of flower into this, actually. I think I've got some foam stamps. Give me a second, just want to grab some foam stamps. Just some foam stamps from PM Artist Studio. Actually, that one. Have I used that? I don't think I've used that yet. Who drew that? I will put a link in the description box as to who this is from. It's from PM Artist Studio, and I don't know whether it was Sophia that designed this. One of the other designers there. And I quite like that. I'm feeling these are going to go almost feel a bit like wallpaper. I'm going to take a bit of this off this plate because I don't want it contaminating my purple, because I'm going to go with the purple on this. And I'm also take it off here as well. So foam stamps are fun to use with acrylic paints, which is the thing I use them mostly for. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to use the purple again, and I'm going to use, this is my ink pad now. Let's pull this in. Yeah, it's going to begin to feel very much like wallpaper, which is fine with me, because I like wallpaper. Well, not on my walls, but I like wallpaper designs. So I'm looking to make sure that it's picking paint up, because sometimes you'll find with a foam stamp it'll distort, so you make sure you press it in the middle to pick it all up. And I'm going to come in, press it down, press gently around the edges, and there you go. That's fabulous. I love that. I do think this is the first time I've actually used this stamp. Now you'll notice I'm turning it as I'm putting it down. Part of that is because that way the flowers will be at different angles. And I think I want one by there. Let's pop that over there and do the same on here. A little bit of paint goes a long way with a foam stamp. This is a new stamp to me. I had an order from PM Artist Studio come through this week, or was it last week? It might have been last week actually. And this was one of the ones I ordered. A little bit down there. Yes, right, let's just stamp some off in this book, because I'm not about to waste paint. You never know, I might even stamp a few off on my labels. So see, whenever I'm working on my gel plate, I'm never just working on my gel plate. Whenever I'm creating anything, it's very rare I'm just creating one thing. I'm always doing multiple things, and it so helps me with my productivity. So here are the labels I was doing. So just by putting this, I can put this as many times as I want on here, because these labels are only little strips. So it does mean that each single label will have a different design or part of the design upon it. Right, this, however, will need to go into a bowl of water to be soaked, just so that I don't end up with paint drying on the back of on the front of my stamp. Now, I can use this stamp for ink and for acrylic paint, but if I want to keep the integrity of the foam, I do need to be conscious that it's cleaned every time, especially when it comes to paint, because paint will dry and leave a film. So I'm going to hit pause, and I'm back. I've just thrown the foam stamp into a bowl of water just so it's sorting itself out. Now, what I'm going to do now is I want to do some art making. I'm looking to see, are my colours present? They are. We've got the green, we've got the purple. The grey is in there, but the grey isn't that dominant. Again, I've got the green, I've got the purple, but I don't really have the grey. That's fine because I'm now going to put the grey back in again. Now I'm going to come in with a piece of corrugated card. And this is just from packaging, and I want to put lines on here, but what I want to do is I want to put the lines so they're in line with the diamonds. It's not something you normally see me do because I don't tend to put diagonals on things. Oh, that's a lot more liquid than I thought it was going to be. That's way too much paint. Can I get this? Oh, of course you can't open that, can you? Right, we're going to have a lot of grey paint on the go then. Right. So I'm just spraying it out, and the more I use this, the wider those lines will get in the future. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to line it up and just press it down, and see, it just follows that through. And it's putting the grey back into the design. Again, doing the same thing here. If I go in this direction. I tend to do 3 unless I feel it needs to be more, and I quite like that little bit there. And this has just caught my eye here, and I quite like to a little bit of something. Now, I could always have gone in the opposite direction, and actually, why don't I do that on one of them? Let's do it on this one. If I go in the opposite direction as well, that will give me diamonds on top of diamonds. So we'll vary this up a bit. I mean, for me, this is very, very busy, but that's just my taste. So for me, I'm going to consider this one finished because there's a lot going on. So I'm just going to stop this one and go back to the one we're working on. If I deem that it needs something extra, I will go back into it. Right, let's get another piece of tissue to clean up this excess of paint. Now, the only colour I haven't really used now is my black. And with my black, I'm going to use one of these stamps. Now, this is a foam stamp designed by me. It comes as, I think there's 9 stamps in the set. I'll put these in the description box as well. I believe they're called border builders, and they're literally this shape for a reason because you can line them up and do borders. I'm going to come in and highlight some of those diamond areas we've got there now. This is way wetter than I need it to be. So if you haven't seen anything to do with the challenge I'm running this month, I'll put a link to the launch video below, or can I put a link to the... I might be able to put a link actually to the playlist. It's called Gely, G-E-L-Y, Postcard Play, and I'll put the launch video in because that way you will then understand what it's about. And if you put that into any search engine, it'll come up with loads and loads of different stuff. Right. Don't need a lot of black. So don't need a lot. I certainly don't need as much as I did with the grey. Let's now bray this out. I bray my paint out quite thinly because if it's too thick, it'll build up in the stamp itself. See, just putting it in now, and we'll try and get this so that I can almost line it up. I'm not looking for perfect because I'm trying not to be a perfectionist. obviously by the way I stamped that lot. Right, I'm going to stamp a little bit up here. And I think this bit here is crying out for some sort of design within it. I designed these so that I could use them in my art journal, these stamps, so I could create borders down the sides of pages, things like that. A couple across the bottom here. Right, I think that's enough of that. Let's put that to one side up there. Right, I'll just bring in one of these again. And then I think what we'll do is I'll take a last little look and see if there's anything that I would more put on here. Now, I'm literally just stamping this anywhere on here purely because I know this will get torn up to be collage crumbs, as Darcy would call it. And we're back, and things are cleaned up. Now, I must admit, between this one and this one, I'm not happy. I don't think it works. I think what I need to do is there's no real stark contrast in it. The black didn't do it for me. The gold isn't there, but the gold didn't need to be. We've got the colours that need to be in it on both of them. I'm fine with that. But I think what I want to do is I want to come back in with this stencil again. And what I want to do is I'm going to use some foam stamp, or a foam stamp, just a bit of a makeup sponge. So I did say stamp, I meant foam sponge. And I'm going to put some white back into this design because I think that's what's bothering me. It just looks bland. Now I am trying to line it up ever so slightly if it's already visible, but I mean, if I just put patches of this covering up what's already there, then it knocks that into the background. And I quite like to keep the orientation so that it all lines up with each other. I'm not trying to cover up anything specific. I'm just trying to put back into it what I think is missing. I'm just putting that piece up there because I can then use that to locate that across. And I don't mind if the fainter ones in the background are not in line with everything on the foreground. I can see where I'm going with this now, so just line that up there. And this area here is just not working for me either. It's funny, I can't always tell you what's wrong with it, but I can tell you something's not right with it. Right, that's given it another layer of interest. Let's swap out to the next one. And I don't mind if it's bled slightly underneath. Right, this is going to need... I think I remember we did this just to show you, and I knew I was doing something I didn't like to start with, so let's just pop that across and see if I can annihilate some of those grey crosses in here, because that's what I don't like about this sheet. I know that for a start. And then we'll need to focus and see if there's anything else that, I don't want to say rescue, but that this needs differently. Let's bring that down a chunk. Am I still in the shot? I am. That's helping me out a little bit with this. And for once I've nearly judged the paint correctly. Right, so that's muted that back a bit. It still looks really busy. Let's put this, where am I going to put it? Put it over there. So it needs something, and I can't work out what it is, guys. It's just looking too busy to me. Right. Drastic measures. Right, this is the one that we were just cleaning the plate off with. So this has been on this plate for probably 5 minutes. But what it will do is it will just clean off the entire plate so I can do something different. And I do need to do something. I'm looking at these going, this is just not right. Right, that'll get used for collage at some point. So I am not liking the busyness of this. It's just not working. And I always say to you that if things aren't going right, I won't try and cover it up by not sharing it with you. I will share it with you. And I want to come in and just, I need to obliterate some of this and start. I don't want to say start again, but I don't want to leave that as the finished impression. So just coming in with this white again, I'm literally going to come in and do that kissing technique just to get stuff sorted on here, because it's not right. There's certain things I liked, but it's not completely right. I need thicker coat than that. So that's one of the joys of mixed media. If you don't like it, you can cover it up and start again, which is pretty much what we're going to do here. And I'm not really sure I'm going to go back to mixing pistachio green again. We may just end up using that yellow green. Right. I can still see stuff in the background. That doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me at all. Okay, so we're back to what I would consider pretty much square one. I can still see the diamonds, still see purple, still see green. The grey is in there, but it's not predominant enough. And I think what I need to do now, I need to do the same sort of thing with the grey. This is one of the instances where if I didn't have the camera on and I wasn't recording this and I didn't need it to go out today, I would probably stop, put it on a shelf and go back to it another day. Because I find that if I'm struggling with something or something isn't completely 100% working out for me, I do find if I take the pressure off myself and just put it to one side, then things normally work out for me. Right. So that's quite a brutal attack on what was there first. So let's just clean that off with a bit of tissue. Right, so basically, I now have a canvas that I can call a blank canvas. There's stuff in the background, that's totally fine with me. Right, let's have a look at where I'm at. Right, so I do still have hints of things in there, which is fine. And this one has got hints of things in there as well. And I still see some of the stamping, that's fine. Right, we now need to start rebuilding and establishing. So I think I'm going to come in with purple because I want to make sure that all of the colors are in this. I'm going to come in with plastic canvas, I believe it. Every time I do this, I forget what this is called. You've seen it before. It's in your craft store, guys. It comes in shapes as well. So I'm just going to spray this out, just lay this on here and establish some mesh on here that's very subtle. Put some more on there. I've got like a bit more up there. See, it's calming quite a bit this down. I've lost track now which one is actually supposed to be the right one and which one isn't supposed to be the right one. So basically, we're going to have to do both of them, I think. Right, so that's given me something that's a starting block, should we say. So we've got the purple. Let's clean this up. So we've got the grey, we've got the purple. I need to get some green on here now. I think the reason I'm struggling is I'm not particularly keen on the colour green. It's too muted for me. But I am going to do the same thing again, and I'm going to put more green on here. So I'm going to do equal amounts of green and white. I'm going to put a touch of that purple with it because it's the opposite to yellow. And that should give me something. Right, what am I going to put on here? Right, I've got some really large bubble wrap and it's already got stuff on it. So let's see if I can't get some of that mixed in. See, that looks a lot more pistachio now just by doing that, doesn't it? I'd say that was a good attempt at pistachio myself. Right, so I'm going to come in. There's already dried paint on here. If it comes off, all well and good. Right, so we have now got the colours on here that we need. I'll do this other one as well because I've got it on the go. And yes, for you, those of you who are going to comment, I do tend to start in that corner a lot. There you go, that's that one. Okay, so we've got the green, we've got the grey, we've got the purple. We've got the grey, we've got the green, we've got the purple. So right, here we are. I've got this dry enough, but I want to do one more thing before I do that. It's too muted for me. So I'm just going to come in. I'm going to pick up some white acrylic paint on my sort of store card thing. I'm going to come down and give it some flat wipes. And by that, I'm trying to get this as flat as I can on the surface because it will give me that whole weathered paint look. Need some more of that. I think I know what this needs. I need to put yellow onto it, but as yellow isn't part of the colour combo, the closest I've got is gold. And I'm not sure the gold is opaque enough for me to be happy with it. And I think that's where I'm struggling because I'm trying to adhere to the rules and yet the rules aren't working for me. Right. Now, saying that, do I want to put any gold on there before I do the flowers? I think I do. Right, let's go back to this one. Now, gold or copper is the question. Let's go for copper. Copper is a richer colour. This gold isn't really showing up much. And I'm going to use my contraption that I've made out of the insides of things. Washi tapes. So let's just spray that out. I've just stuck washi tape innards and tape innards together. See what I mean? I always seem to start in the top corner. And by lining them up next to each other, I give the illusion that it's more of a continual thing. Okay, I'm happier with that. I think we're winning. I'm feeling a lot more happy about that now. And I think once I put the black outlines of the flowers on them, it'll look even more dramatic. And I'm wondering whether, because this has got beautifully fine lines on it, I'm wondering, I've already got it in the background, whether I should go with a different sort of flower stamp. And I kind of have in mind these ones by Darcy Sanders, because they're daisies and they've got a heavier line to them. I mean, I've got these one as well, which is the wallflower one. So we'll do the wallflower ones instead. Let's do the wallflower ones. I always use the daisy ones. Daisies, yeah, daisies, Darcy, fabulous. Let's put that to one side. So just means that I've got, I'm sure these are wallflowers, and I will put the link to these in the description box as well. We are going to use black paint again. And I think the drama of the black on here now, because it'll be in a heavier line, I'm hoping will add the contrast I'm looking for. Let's start with the large one first. So again, take a look. You'll be able to see whether there's a build-up. If it's puckering too much, you can also just run your brayer over it, but don't go over it all the time with the brayer, because you'll build up stuff on the inside of the edges of this. And again, I'm turning the flower around so that it's coming in at different angles. And also stick that to there, it'll go together. Yes, I've got the little ones to go in there yet. Let's carry on to do the other one. Stick those two bits together. You can see what I mean about putting the drama in, can't you now? Right, well, I've got that one out. Let's just brayer some more of this out. So the smaller one will now fit into this one to create more like clusters for me. I don't like it that it's a line down the middle, so I'm going to have to do something here. Okay, right. Okay, for the last time, I'm going to dry and clean up everything, and we'll take a final look at it. I think we're done, though. I do think we're done. And we're back, and they're dry, and everything's cleaned up. Am I happy with them? Far from it. I mean, we rescued it, and this is definitely better than it was before. However, is it my favourite? Heck no. But I'm going to do something quite drastic, which might change them slightly. Staying within the colour thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a Posca. This says it's violet, so that's going to be royal purple in my world. And I'm just going to do some nonsense writing on them. Just in a couple of places. Some would say this actually looks like my real writing, which I can't deny. And I'm just hoping that this colour will kind of unify things. Okay, love it, hate it, that's what it's going to be. So that's changed the dynamics of it. Again, cannot say it's rocking my world, but they're a darn sight better than they were before, and I've kept to the colour scheme. It was pistachio green. This sort of greyish green here, in my opinion, is as close as I'm going to get to it without going out and buying it, and I don't want to go out and buy it. Grey, we've definitely got grey in here, and purple, we've definitely got purple in there. There is black, there is white as well, and there is metallic. So I'm going to consider that done, guys. So I'm Kerry the Crafter. That's C-E-R-I, the Crafter. Until next time, goodbye now.